Welcome to Capital Ideas, featuring guests from organizations in Raleigh and the surrounding area that are doing great things to uplift residents, support businesses, and impact the local economy. Hi, I'm Brenda Wilkerson, Communications Manager at Capital Area Workforce Development, and welcome to Capital Ideas. You might recall that in our first episode of Capital Ideas, we spoke to our Reentry team and we talked about the unique elements of Capital Area strategic plan to help men and women who are leaving incarceration return back into the community and to the workplace. So now here we are in April when it is National Second Chance Month. And this is a time where we recognize and raise awareness about the obstacles faced by our returning citizens. According to the North Carolina Department of Public Safety, about 95% of people in prison will eventually return to their communities. That's more than 20,000 people a year. And that's a big number, and one reason why reentry services are so important, because we know that finding suitable work and employment reduces the chances of reincarceration significantly, but it can be a tough road without some help. So I'm really happy to have our guests today. We have two. One is Harry Simmons, and Harry is a returning citizen who's going to share some of his story and his history and how he got to where he is today. And then my other guest is Ms. Donna Farrar. And Donna, as far as I'm concerned, is the best reentry case manager in the state. Isn't she, Harry? Yes, she is. She works at our NC Works Career Center in Raleigh. And Donna has firsthand knowledge about what it takes to help get these folks back on their feet. So welcome to both of you. So, and Donna, I'm going to start with you. You're on the front line helping these folks. And tell us a little bit about how long you've been doing this work and what role does the case manager play when it comes to reentry clients?
So I've been working in reentry for almost 10 years at different capacities, currently as a case manager, but previously as a volunteer and also as a mentor to men and women who are returning back to their communities to help them get readjusted. I've always cared about my community, even when I was like a child. So this is like, it's in my heart just to help people and to treat them with dignity and respect and help them as much as I can. So, um, and then what was the other piece to your question?
Well, here's the other part. That was good. That answered my question. And I didn't know you've been doing this since you were a kid. That's awesome. So tell me a little bit about like how do they end up at your desk? Can you provide an idea about the process people go through when they come to the NC Works Career Center? How do they end up eventually in front of you?
So, individuals are referred to us from a variety of referral sources. It could be from a family, a friend, it could be a self referral, or an organization, a partner, as well as the actual facility, whether it's a prison or a jail. So, that's how we receive referrals. And then, based off of that, just basically looking over the referral, contacting the individual, and then if they're interested in receiving our services, then they come through our doors to start the process.
Okay. And is that like does everybody get assessed in some way? Is it an assessment process? Like, how do you, I remember in our first episode, Lenarda, who runs the local reentry council, she's like, when they come to NC Works or when they come in, there's no wrong door, right? She's
Mhm.
like, all doors lead to the right place, but how do you figure out which doors people need?
So one door So if I hopefully I'm sharing the same thing that she is or on the same page, but when I think about no wrong door, it's making sure that there's access at different points. So if
Mhm.
an individual does come to the NC Works Career Center, then they know what reentry resources might be available and they can point them to the right direction. Or if they are coming from the facility, that they have our point of contact to be able to reach out to us. So no matter if they're coming through from NC Works or a partner, they know how to get to that access point, which is us in a sense.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, and Harry Simmons, welcome, welcome. We are so glad you agreed to do this for us. So tell us who you are and tell us what you're currently up to and what you're doing.
I'm a excuse me. I'm a guy from North Carolina. I've been here all my life. Um, Spent a number of years in multiple careers. I'm a multitasker. I'm the kind of guy who is happy to jump into something and do it if even if nobody else wants to. So I've enjoyed that part of my life anyway. I I got out of prison in April of 2020. And because of COVID 19 and because of my age, I qualified for an early release. So I got that. I went to live with a friend in the Raleigh area. And, basically we were staying home because of COVID for a while, not doing anything, not going anywhere. The uh, When it came time to start looking outside there for something to do, my probation officer referred me, gave me a flyer actually for Wake Local Reentry. And so I called the number on there. I ended up talking to Donna. She said, "Come on down." So I did. I was able to learn a lot from her immediately. But then we started talking about what I need and then started again getting into the process. So the way you can get into NC Works, there are obviously many ways you can, but this one worked very well for me. And she put me in touch with the Senior Community Service Employment Program, which is for those of us who are over 65 and who meet certain qualifications. I can do a job here at NC Works and get paid a subsidized salary until I find what I'm looking for in the outside world, which worked out very nicely for me.
Mm-hmm.
The I guess the important thing is that there is a path through the process for probably anybody. They may start with Donna, they may start somewhere else. In my case, I couldn't have asked for a better process to get into this system here.
So you had quite a bit of work experience, before incarceration. It sounds like
Decades.
correct. You had
Yep.
decades of work experience, and were were you at the time releases coming up? Were you thinking about going back to that, or did you kind of know you were going to have to work your way into something different? What were you thinking?
Uh, well, first of all, my release date, I didn't know it was coming.
Oh,
The actual first day that I got out, I learned about it that morning. I was told,
wow.
you have an approved home plan, you're leaving. But this was because of COVID.
Mhm.
So they gave me about a half an hour to pack my stuff and have somebody come pick me up. And so I managed to meet that 30-minute window
Wow.
and got out the door and never went back. The I guess my real release date was October of last year. That's the official date. And so by that time, though, I was already working at NC Works and had been for several months. I uh, I then proceeded to start looking for that quote real job out there somewhere. And I've applied for a number of places, and several of them didn't work for me, and several of them didn't work for them, and so forth and so on. I have just in the past week accepted a position that I was offered, and I hope to start working there the middle of April. So, it's been a long process, and Donna can tell you it's been a while. We worked at it hard, but Donna has kept me going in the right direction and has provided the things that I need, the tools that I need, along with the rest of NC Works. NC Works is a collection of people and entities, and it just it depends on what you need. If you can find your way here, you can find your way. And I'm optimistic that this new job I'm starting in a couple of weeks will give me a real step in the right direction.
Congratulations. That's so
Thank you.
good to hear. Success story for working. That's great. So
Well,
Donna,
I haven't actually started yet, so let's get me there first. But
look, we have
but
faith. You're gonna start. You're gonna start.
good,
All
That's
will be
good.
well.
right. Yeah.
So Donna, what do you think? Like, what percentage of people are able to go back into whatever field they left, or do you see that the majority do have to do something different and reskill? And what can NC Works do to help with that and facilitate that?
So as far as the percentage, I would say it's probably around like 25% if I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I haven't really looked at hard statistics, but I do find that individuals go into a different field and everyone is different. So, like, they can't be put into a box because there's people who have bachelor's and master's degree, but then there's people who may not be computer literate or they have some other comprehension challenges, so they need those extra layers of support when it comes to job skills training and
Mhm.
just relearning and rethinking. So and then also it just depends on what they may have went in for, and based on the employer, what their requirements are, their policy. So, say for instance, if an individual had larceny charges, they wouldn't be able to necessarily go right back into a field where they could be a banker. Now, it still could be a possibility, but it would take rebuilding trust and also just showing forth that good work ethic and good characteristics. So.
Mhm. And I know, so as Harry was saying, there are multiple organizations co-located at the Career Center, so that we are able to provide those seamless services. Can you talk a little bit about who those other partners are and maybe, what they specialize in?
Sure. So here at the NC Works Career Center on Capitol in Raleigh, we have reentry services. So not just the Wake LRC, but there's two other entities that provide reentry services. It just depends on the eligibility. There's also opportunities to be reconnected with the resource for driver's license restoration. We also have a caseworker on site for individuals who are applying for food stamps. So she comes in. We also now have a licensed clinical social worker. So if there are additional barriers besides employment, such as getting medications, or if you need some type of therapy, that licensed clinical social worker could be able to connect that individual with those supportive services. There's also, like Harry mentioned, the Senior Community Employment Services Department, who
I had no idea about that, by the way. I did not know.
oh,
I didn't know that. That was at the center. Had no idea.
wow. Yes, so they assist individuals who are 55 plus to like he said, to provide employment or volunteer opportunities for individuals. So they also work with employers in the area to be able to provide that benefit. And then there's also veteran services here, and there's scholarship opportunities, there's apprenticeships available. So there's so much. It's such a good place, a good hub for individuals to get connected. And even if they feel like, hey, I may not need employment, but I want to go back to school or do a trade or something else, this is still a good place for individuals to connect with so that they can be pointed in the right direction.
Awesome. And I think too, the expungement clinics that you guys partner with, was it legal aid to do
Oh,
those?
yes, that's right. Yep. They have the North Carolina Legal Aid. They have attorneys who actually come once a month, every first Thursday of the month from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. to provide information about expungement, whether individuals may be able to receive that expungement. So,
Mm. And I know that can be a real game changer if you can get a charge off your record,
mhm.
when you're going to find a job and it doesn't show up, right, if you're able to get it expunged.
Yeah.
So that's a seriously good service.
Yeah, and also on that note, now with the Second Chance Act that was passed, I believe back in 2020, it's opening up doors for individuals who weren't eligible previously for expungement to now be eligible. So this could include like dismissed charges. It could also include a misdemeanor. Of course, there is a time frame, but they'll have the opportunity to talk to the attorney to figure out if they're eligible or not.
And that clinic is free of charge, is it not?
Yes, free, free, free.
Free, free, for free, free, free.
In fact, there are a lot of free clinics around here. You can come in and learn how to write a resume. You can take classes at Wake Tech. There are all kinds of things that you can do through this system that doesn't cost you anything except your time.
Yes,
One stop. It's a one stop location.
that's right.
So, Harry, question for you. let's say somebody viewing this was just released from incarceration and they're trying to get back on their feet. What kind of advice would you give them, knowing all
Call
that you
Donna.
know now?
I would tell them to call Donna. I have done so, in fact. I have known people that got out, and I said, "You need to call this woman because she can make it happen for you." And she probably hates me for sending her some of those, but maybe not. Um, there's definitely a lot here that can help people. Is my point. If it's not through Donna, you can come in the front door here and say, "Hi, I need work and I need help, and can you point me in the right direction?" Well, what do you want to do? Would you like to be a truck driver? We've got a CDL scholarship option back here.
Mhm.
Would you like to go to work for XYZ? There's a job search process on the website for NC Works. There's so many options. It's I learned that it's ridiculous not to put them to use.
That's awesome. Um, and you said you heard about NC. Did you said you heard about NC Works right after you were released, or when you were
Uh,
still
Not
beforehand?
exactly right after, because we were basically hunkering down because of COVID. My host family did not want me to be out exposed to other people with COVID-19
Mhm.
because they didn't want to get it. They didn't
Mhm.
want me to get it. And so we basically did not go much of anywhere, to the grocery store occasionally. We would mask up and glove up to do that. Very careful about the COVID 19 issue. But once that had started to dwindle down some, I then started looking at ways to make more, to contribute more to the family, if you will.
Mhm.
And my probation officer is the one who handed me the flyer for Wake Local Reentry. It was just a little 2 page piece of paper, 1 page piece of paper.
Mhm.
And I called up that number and put me in touch with Donna, and she said, "Here, you need a Walmart card, or here, you need something that'll help you get going again." And so, and I was borrowing cars, so I was able to get Sheets gas cars to help put gas in my friends' cars. There's a
Wow.
lot of things you can do that makes it easier to proceed. And I
Mhm.
think, like I say, Wake Local Reentry is a great way to start.
And it sounds like you had a little support from family and friends that maybe,
Friends primarily, and no doubt about that.
yeah.
I can't say enough about. I'm not going to tell you who they are or where they are because somebody might show up on their door. But yes, I've had a lot of support from folks, and couldn't have done it without them. No way.
Mm, that support piece is really important, and I know that a lot of folks get out and they maybe don't have that support, or it's not as strong as
Right.
what you had. And I feel like Donna, some of the other clients that we've kind of interviewed or talked to, they talk about how important you were to them in their walk. Because I remember the one lady saying, she talks to me just like I'm a friend, and that's just so heartwarming to me. And you really do have a passion for this work, don't you?
Yes. And also, if I could add this, that it does depend on the individual. Like they have to, like Harry, he was very serious about um progressing and
Mhm.
reaching his goals. And so he put in 110%, and I was willing to put in 110%. And for the individual who doesn't have that extra layer of support, we try to provide that additional support to them, whether it's us or additional partner resources that will
Mhm.
be able to do that as well, because some individuals, like, they're coming from a whole different state or a whole different county, so everything is new for them, but we try to do as much as we can to support them on their journey.
And I know, so for Second Chance Month, you have a plethora of activities planned around reentry at different places, partnering with different organizations. Can you highlight a couple of those, and what you're offering and what people can expect if they come to some of those?
Sure. So a couple of things that come to mind: we are doing a men's makeover for
Oh.
several guys where they can go to a barbershop and get a haircut as well as get some one-on-one mentorship. Oh yeah,
Ooh.
and possibly a beard trim.
Ooh.
I forgot about that. And then also we're partnering with Dress for Success, which is like right next door to offer a virtual job fair for individuals who are seeking a career, not necessarily just a job. So that's going to be coming up on April 8th. And then we'll also be having a reentry simulation where community leaders and individuals in the community can come and learn what it's like for an individual who's just being released from incarceration and all of the things that they may have to navigate on their own, and just hoping to create awareness and empathy for those individuals. So
Do you
excited
know
about
how that
that.
simulation works? I was doing a little research about it, and it seems like, and I don't know. It's just kind of what I could tell. It seems like, when you come to the simulation, you literally are put in the shoes. Well, not literally. I'm sorry. You experience what these folks experience because it's about task completion, I think. So it's like it looks like they give you a task. You have, something on your background, like, go over here and try to rent an apartment. And then whoever is this is how I see it in my mind. I
Hmm.
think it's really interesting. And then whoever the landlord is might say, no, I'm not renting to you. What do you do then? So it really is, seems like a really immersive type experience, that simulation, which is really unique. I think that's cool.
Yes, and you're right. That's how it's going to be played out. So there'll be different groups of people. So the person who's going through the process and then having the resources there, the landlord, or the uh, what do you call it, the talent engagement specialist, and however they respond, and then there'll be a card of all the things that they'll have to do,
Mhm.
um, and also be able to work around it. So it's definitely an eye opener for individuals who don't may not have a family member who's ever been
Mhm.
incarcerated, or just they don't know what it's like, or to debunk some of those stigmas and myths about
Mhm.
individuals returning home. So
Mhm.
it's definitely a great eye-opening experience, and I've always heard good things about it.
That's great, and that's going to be at the NC Works Career Center at Tillery, correct, or is that somewhere else?
Yes, and we also have an Eventbrite link. I'm not sure if you have show notes on here, but um
I don't.
oh, okay. But we do have an Eventbrite link if individuals want to register, and of course, it's free.
Yay! Free, 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 free. That's that a lot going on. So congratulations to y'all for putting that together. That's a lot of activities. So to benefit a lot of people. So Harry, tell us about. And we know you might be starting this job in about a week. What do you think is after that? Like, what are your plans like for the future? How far do you think you're going to
Well,
go here?
ultimately retirement, but I'm not there yet. I qualify, but I'm not there yet in many ways. This new position that I've been offered and have accepted will give me plenty to do for some years to come, assuming I'm as good at it as I think I'm going to be, because it fits right up my alley. It's a kind of job that I have the natural talent for. I don't have to do a whole lot of study,
Can
so
you tell us a
I'm
little bit about
confident that
it?
it's
Like,
going to be good.
what are you going to be doing?
It's it has to do with North Carolina statewide traffic, and it's a map oriented, event oriented, incident oriented kind of process. There are several people working in a center, and the job, as I understand it, because I haven't been even to the
Been there
first day
yet?
yet, is that the organization helps to direct people in traffic situations all across the state. Weather, what I'm sure they're very busy today with all this stormy weather around.
Mhm.
Um, it's just kind of a contractor for the state that does manages traffic in North Carolina, and it just feels right to me. I travel so much in this state over the years, and I'm a pretty good map reader, for example. So I think all those things together just make it fit me.
That's awesome.
Hope it's as good as I think it is.
And I hope you hang in there until retirement time. That's great.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you again. Um, I don't have anything else for you guys. This was a really good information, more about reentry, about Second Chance Month. Again, if anyone out there needs help or you know someone who needs help, please direct them if they're in the Raleigh area to the NT Works Career Center at Tillery Place, which is right before you get to the Beltline. We're right outside of downtown. We would love to be able to help you. I want to thank my guests, both Donna and Harry, and I will see you all next time. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yep.
Thanks for watching. To learn more about Capital Area Workforce Development, visit capitalareancworks.com and be sure to like and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.